You're watching Hellbent Holler live. Hello and welcome to Hellbent Holler Live. My name is Jesse, this is Joe, and this is our weekly hangout we have every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We want to thank you all for joining us and everybody that's in the chat right now. We actually have a cool topic to discuss today, so we're going to dive right into that. I know that thumbnail was pretty sensational. Attack of the pale crawlers. But that's what we're looking for. We're going to talk about pale crawlers today, kind of how the actual history and people's experiences with these pale crawlers, with these pale humanoids, kind of developed into a creepypasta, and kind of how that developed over the years, and some examples of people having these experiences.
Yeah, and we've actually got somebody in the studio with us today.
We do. Yes,
have
we
somebody in
do.
the studio with us today. Our friend Denim Devil is visiting for a few days, and he is sitting right over there off screen. So if you occasionally see us look at somebody,
Will we tell a terrible
that's who we're
joke?
looking at. So
But we are stoked to have everybody here. Yeah, so you want to dive right into it, or?
yeah, there was a story that came out this past week that we saw.
That definitely caught our attention. I saw this actually on Reddit. Joe had mentioned it before, but I actually saw it on Reddit. It's very, very bizarre. It's on the Above the Norm News is where I saw it originally. But Joe was telling me about it, and we were talking about it today. It's pretty
Two
wild.
ladies were out hiking, and they took a selfie with the mountain range behind them. And then when they blew it up, there's a figure crawling up basically the side of a cliff. They estimated that it's 20 feet tall, much taller than the normal rake or pale crawler sightings normally are. Damn near taller than almost anything else that's like reported.
Oh,
But that's
yeah,
what they
absolutely.
estimated it being. Now, real quick, there was a rush to kind of just go, all this is just an artifact of the light hitting the rock. What's interesting is that a couple of the earlier debunkings on it, somebody went, wait, I know where that's at. That's not even the same state. And then that just stopped, and then the gears switched up again at that point.
Yeah. So right here is one of the images from the posts that are found. And it's just the mountainside. You can't really see anything going on this particular image. But we're going to cycle through here, and you guys can check it out here. this is the zoomed in of it that you can see right there. You can see
Yeah.
that figure. It looks like it has legs. It looks like it has arms. And it looks like it's climbing up the side of the mountain.
So leave it on that for a second.
Of course.
Because that's too damn detailed to be just an artifact or just something in the rocks. And I know people have tried to show what, oh, that's this causing it. I've been there before. If you had been there before and you had seen that, you'd be posting photos going, hey, look at this crazy rock formation. It almost looks like a 20-foot tall, pale, hairless creature crawling the wall here.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's not, as somebody, Gozok's saying, or no, Moondog's saying CGI. I don't know if that's CGI or not, man. I mean, this was found in the background of two people who weren't necessarily out doing cryptid stuff.
So somebody's saying our mics are not working very well. Let's see. I don't know if they are. So when I was talking earlier, I'm exhausted, so I might have been kind of choking up a little. So let us know if they sound okay, and we'll kind of go on. It might have been me. I'm sorry.
Try that.
It might have just been me choking up. My allergies have been insane.
Ask what that sound is okay.
Yep, I'm asking right now. So let us know. Somebody said sounds good. It's been sounding good. Like I said, it might have just been me. My allergies have been nutty for the past couple of days. Sound is good. You're good. Good. Everybody says everything's fine. Everything's cool. So I don't know. All right. Where were we?
Talking about this damn thing on
Talking about this damn thing on the wall.
But it's just weird that I'm trying to find the National Park Service is where it originated at on.
Now,
Reddit.
Was it the National Park Service Reddit, or so it wasn't an official post, or was it a post from that particular Reddit? When you're going into the world of Reddit.
The world of Reddit. It's a Reddit account that doesn't really have anything to do with cryptid stuff.
Yeah.
It just posts things from like Mount Rainier, just reposts stuff that people have of different stuff in national parks.
Hope Rising is making observations that you can see its little butt.
You can see is it like Patty? Can you see the crack? So, so very weird. And listen, again, it comes down to this. Is it CGI? Is it a hoax? I mean, you can't tell in this day and age. You know what I'm saying? The original story, and let me pull that up real quick.
Just got to say hello to Linda. Linda's in Western North Carolina. We just got back from Western North Carolina. Mm-hmm. We had a little trip out there to the Waynesville area. So hello to Linda. I hope you're doing well, Linda. So
one of them is a behavioral analyst. The two ladies that did this, I had pulled the story up, and it's funny because this is like just how the internet is.
Mm-hmm.
It was two fairly attractive women.
Yes.
So the first story is going through the comments. It was just like, well, who are these chicks? Are they single? You know,
hot chick spot spell crawler.
Everybody was like, exactly. So they took the photo on August 24th. But they didn't see it until later on when they were going through some photos.
Yeah.
And to me, those are always the more interesting ones. You know what I'm saying? That's like the Beast of Seven Shoots. The person who took that photo of that creature holding that looked like a dead dog in its arms. Mm-hmm. They didn't realize it until much, much later. They saw that when they were reviewing the photos.
So if you look at the thing here, though, I don't know. Some people keep saying that it's a possible CGI thing. I can see it a little better than you guys can.
But here's the deal, though. So these are two professionals. They're not involved with the cryptid stuff. The story that they're giving is that they were sharing photographs with their family and streaming them to their large plasma screen television.
Okay.
And then somebody went, "Wait, what's that?" Now this could be completely made up. One of them could have a pale crawler book coming out in a month, you know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden then you go. But on the surface of it, they posted the pictures originally on a Facebook group for Colorado hikers.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't immediately run to like a cryptid group.
So Nutslab asked the question, and people ask of anything to do with anything weird ever. Why is there not a video? A video would prove it
Because they were
wasn't
taking
shadows.
selfies. They were taking selfies.
Yeah, they weren't filming this creature on purpose. This is something they found after the fact.
Yeah.
This is something they found as something in the photos. So they were taking photos at the time, not videos.
Actually, I'm looking at the original photo right now. They were just taking a picture of the clouds over the mountain peak. And then when they showed it blown up on their plasma screen TV, that's when they
Yeah, I think
saw
this is a zoomed in of an original photo, or is this the
That's it. That's the original photo.
All right, so
that's the original photo. And then when they saw it on a large plasma screen TV, they noticed that.
Yeah.
So
and
again,
it looks like whatever this figure is right about here in the center of the picture.
you could go, you could say, hey, it's just a big, and it might be, you know what I'm saying? You can never tell. Could be CGI. It could be, I'm leaning towards, if it's anything, it's CGI right now, because that's pretty damn, that's a figure with arms and legs and everything like that. Now, one thing I have not seen is I have not seen how they are arrived at the 20-foot estimation. I have not seen anybody.
I guess if they're comparing the size of the peak, like the height of the peak, or from that particular.
Well, no, I just came across it actually.
Oh, did you?
One of the ladies' dads said, "What the hell? That thing is at least 20 feet or so." So I guess that's what they're basing the 20-foot. So you know what? That makes it, I hate to say it, even more believable to me that they didn't have some weird like numbers voodoo that they did to like extrapolate that measurement. They did, I guess, at one point decide to call the Rangers to kind of go, you know, what are we looking at here?
Yeah.
Chris Jackson, thank you for being a member. We appreciate it. We greatly appreciate it. Especially tonight, we had to remove monetization from this video. YouTube wants to run ads in the middle of the live streams now, which they never wanted to do before.
That was an issue we had last week.
Yeah,
so
we thought it was something that had just changed on us, but that's just all you can do now. So we have to kill monetization on the live streams just because otherwise they're going to run ads and it was something like you can change the frequency of ads. And I think the longest was like 6 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm going, oh, every 6 minutes. Good God.
I think we have it off. So we'll see if it's working now.
Yeah, it should be. So,
you know, it's always like it's a adaptation thing. It's like they change something, they don't really tell us about it. We have to kind of adapt and move.
Michael Tobo's got a good point. Was that the same thing that was at the scene at the mall in Miami? You remember that figure that people saw, right?
Maybe these things are just on vacation. They're going from Miami and then up into the mountains, you know.
I'm trying to see if I can pull up an image of that. I'll be damned if it doesn't look like. Now, there's another one that.
Now, that thing was about 20 feet tall, wasn't it? They speculated that thing was about 20 feet tall.
That I don't know. That I don't know, to be honest with you. Creature. I want to see.
People keep asking, where is its head? I think it looks like it's like climbing up that ledge there.
All right, so here's another thing. Here's something I want to bring up here real quick that ties in with what I was just talking about. Years ago, there was a picture that was floating around from an apartment building, I believe in Moscow, that somebody took. And it was a very long, pale white, hairless creature stretched on the side of the apartment as if it was climbing up. It made the rounds. Everybody talked about it. There was a bunch of discussion about whether it was real, fake, if it was fake, how it was faked. Now I'm looking for it because I was going to bring that up. And all I can find is this. It's a different photo that looks nothing like it at all. That's obviously fake. That's so obviously
So that's
fake.
not the photo.
That is not the photo at all. But it is, but now the one I'm looking for should be very easy to find. That should be the first thing that comes up. But instead it's this extremely overly fake one. And I always like get a little suspicious when I see that. I always just kind of go.
Do you think that they're sort of, you know, that they are planting these fake images?
I think that a lot of times, a lot of the real hokey stuff you see that comes out, it's you got to be honest. It's a combination of people just messing with other people, but some of it springs into.
So this is what he's talking about when he's talking about that this is the fake image, but that's not the image that you remember. Now,
no, that's obviously fake. The other one
obviously a fake.
was a looking up and down to the right,
Okay.
and it was something on the side of a building that looked like it looks pretty damn close to that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like all over the place. It was like on 4chan, it was on Reddit, people were talking about it. It made the rounds, and then now I can't find, I'm glancing through here, I can't find it at all, but I am finding that extremely fake one. That
It's sort of like the Thunderbird image that everybody remembers this image existing of these cowboys or prospectors with this Thunderbird that they had just killed. And then people remembered it from some magazine and they're like, I've seen this image before. And then they look it up and then there's these obviously fake.
we need to do an episode.
Recreations.
We need to do an episode on the missing Thunderbird photo.
Yeah.
Because that is a story unto itself.
But then you try to look for it online.
There's
and all you find are these really bad fakes. And you're like,
guess what? You see some really good fakes too.
You do.
That you go, was this shot for a movie? If so, where's the movie? Because this looks really good, but it's not what people remember seeing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there is a cover-up mechanism. And just like the Air Force did with UFOs back in like the 50s and up until like almost modern day, I think it doesn't happen quite as often now because the conversation's in the open.
Yeah.
But the easiest way to hide something was to not hide it at all. Let it be out in plain sight, but just make fun of it. You know what I'm saying? Make people get laughed at if they talk about it. So Nutslap had said, who needs ads when you have us cool members?
That's
We
true.
appreciate it.
That's why we take the ads off of members' videos. We do not have ads on any of our members' videos. So you can watch all of our videos that we produce and put out. I always put up an ad-free members version. And going forward, we're talking about doing the Starlink. This is just an aside here. Last week, we discussed getting a Starlink.
Yeah, I did a membership drive last week and a bunch of members quit. And you were going, I was going, what the hell, man?
You have failed at your membership drive.
I failed at my membership drive.
You have failed the membership drive.
The reason why we were doing that, as opposed to just going, hey, who wants to chip in for this, is because we want to do stuff for the members. So if you contribute, you should be a member, get the stuff we're going to do. Because it's twofold. We kind of went into it a little bit, but we do these live streams sometimes and the signal is just terrible. And we're fighting the signal and then we're stuck
in these live streams, but the live investigations that we do from the field.
We're fighting other things when we do these live streams.
Each other mostly.
But it ends up being a distraction almost. But if we do the Starlink and we're able to get it modified, we can run it, have power source for it, and everything like that, then we're going to be on site real time. People will be able to join in with us.
We have more locations that we can investigate from. One of the problems with doing these live investigations is we are limited by our cell signal that we have on either one of our cell phones when we try to do these live investigations out in the field, and it's always limited. And if you know anything about some of the locations that we investigate, they are far flung, and some of the weirdest locations, like North Georgia, like the Uwharrie, like the depths of the LBL, those locations have no cell signal whatsoever.
Well, the whole thing is that it's twofold. A, if we're able to capture something like cool audio, like we caught in the Grove, that we were doing on a member stream that night that people got to hear live. Yep. Actually, we caught 3 cool audio clips so far. One was really outstanding though. But the other thing too is that we've talked about this in the past, and this kind of ties in with what we're talking about tonight. The mental energy that people have focused on something, and the emotions and the tension and all of that people feel when they're right there with us. Does that strengthen the activity? Does the activity have a larger audience?
But it's sort of that tulpa effect that you're putting that energy and that collective unconscious into whatever is going on, and does it feed off of that energy, and does it draw something?
Here's the deal. The more people we take out in the field, the less likely we are to experience activity.
Yeah.
That has not been the case on live streams though. When people are watching and there's that focus, that attention being paid, but they're not physically there.
Yeah.
But you're getting people like in real time all across the world being emotionally charged about what they're experiencing with us. And what effect is that going to have? Just like it sometimes will let us record its audio, but it's difficult to get it on camera.
Yeah.
Is it going to go, okay, if there were 20 people here right now, I wouldn't do anything. But there's 2 people here right now. and 20 that are viewing live stream from all across the world, maybe I'll give them a little glimpse of myself.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
It's kind of an interesting. It's kind of an interesting experiment to run on that.
Yeah,
I think I'm looking forward to doing that.
we're going to catch up here real quick, and then we'll go on why this is pretty interesting.
Some lady goes, "Get to the crawler stories already."
Centurion wanted to know, have you guys ever used your thermal device to scan footprints you find to see how fresh they might be? The only real fresh footprint we found, we didn't have a thermal imager at that point. So we have not. Usually we find them, you can tell that they're old just by the aging of the print, the deterioration of the dirt around the sides of it. Thank you for that, April Black.
Thank you, Brett.
And then Curtis Whitaker was right behind him. So we appreciate that, Curtis. Thank you so much. So EDP had asked if that was in the background of the photo, talking about the figure that we showed on the wall. Yeah, that was in the background of the photo. That was in, well, actually, that was, they took a photo of a mountain range, and when they saw it blown up, they saw the figure. And what's crazy is Jessie was taking some photos with her camera this weekend. And when you blow it up, cameras nowadays are so freaking powerful. Not using your phone, using an actual camera. But I guess even some of the later phones. I mean, I got a basic early gen iPhones. I don't know, living in the Stone Age, for God's sakes. But they blew it up on the screen and they saw it then. So,
well, I mean, think about this. You and I were out when the burning light incident occurred. We were filming with our camera. We didn't see that when I was editing the video. We didn't see that thing in the trees, which still remains controversial to this day with Jumper Gate. But other people notice that. So it's sometimes you miss things. Sometimes you don't see things. You're out in the mountains. You're excited. You're living in the moment. You're not going to see something maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of armchair quarterbacking that can go on when it comes to any of these incidents. But this is the story we have on this. I think it's kind of interesting. I think it's kind of interesting that it also kind of pertains to a lot of other stuff that's going on and that has been going on for a few years now. But this is nothing new. This pale, bald, hairless humanoid.
Thank you, Two Shadows. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Two Shadows.
Well, so we were talking about how having people joined in via a live stream format into some of these areas where we can do on-site live investigations and how that mental energy might affect it. Well, I mean, I think that there's a certain way that some of these phenomena are affected by people's attention that's being paid to it. We always talk about, like, what do they tell you when your house is haunted? Don't pay any attention to it. Don't interact with it. You'll make it stronger. So I think that ties into the pale crawler and the rake thing a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's been sightings of pale, hairless, bipedal figures for, like, I don't know how long, a long time. You know what I'm saying? But it seems like all of a sudden when the Rake creepypasta got out, because the Rake itself was started up on, like, internet forums.
It was started up on 4chan.
Yeah.
I have some info on it, but it was started up on 4chan. And so I think that the fact that it started up on 4chan makes people think that anything that is described that is similar to this might possibly be just a rake and just somebody, telling fake stories, like these creepypasta stories,
Well, it's been weird because as we were looking into this a little bit, I would have people go, like, so that first Rake story was April of 2009 is when that came out. But then the made up story started in 2003. The story that they were telling is that, well, back in 2003 is the first time this creature was. So 2009 is when that story hit. But there have been several instances of people actually encountering something that looks damn near like the Rake. They just didn't call it the Rake, That's like basically that I go, I'm going to do up a fake story about a 7 or 8 foot tall, hairy bipedal monster that lives in the woods, and I'm going to call it the Jessie Monster.
And then people start writing all these fake stories about the Jessie Monster.
And then they just go
coming and stealing their cheese
rinds. And then people go, the 7, 8 foot tall hairy primates don't exist in the woods. That's something this dude named Joe came up with. He called it the Jessie Monster. it's just all fake, man. Just because somebody decides to invent a story describing something similar, describing something similar to a phenomenon that's already going on doesn't invalidate that original phenomenon. And I was even thinking about it because, like we were talking about that cover up that kind of goes in sometimes. Maybe that was the purpose of like the whole Rake creepypasta, but to begin with, because it ain't that original. You know what I'm saying? As far as the appearance of it goes, and mimics the appearance of a lot of other creatures that have been seen by very credible witnesses. And I was almost just going, did somebody do this just to kind of invalidate all of these sightings so that people would, I mean, some alien gray sightings match up with
Oh, absolutely. Because so these pale crawlers, these creatures are described as being, hairless, large black eyes, sometimes no facial features. Sometimes there's a large mouth. There's kind of variation to it. But the large black eyes, the hairlessness, the proportionality, the long, slender limbs, it does sound like an alien gray.
Yeah.
But it also sounds like something that you don't really hear a lot about in terms of cryptids, the Dover demon.
Yeah, the Dover demon.
So there were 3 sightings of what they call the Dover demon back in Dover, Massachusetts in 1977 in April. So I have a sketch here I'm going to share with you guys of one of the original sketches of what they called the Dover demon. And as you can see, it has that big round head. And I think the guy that originally saw it was 3 different people over 3 days that saw this creature. One of which was this gentleman who saw it up on this hill. His name was Bill. And he saw it up on a wall, like a rock wall on a hill. And it had like a watermelon shaped head. It was pale, but it had these long limbs. Now there's a skeptic, a professional skeptic. Are you ready for this? I know you love this.
Lay it on me.
I know you love this. There's a professional skeptic who claims that all these people were seeing was a snowy owl.
All right, so that happened with another white hairless entity, Kentucky goblins.
Yes,
people would say that all those were just owls. The whole family was drunk. And
what's
they were
funny?
Blasting away at owls.
What's funny is the skeptic who talked about this. I saw his name earlier, but the skeptic that was talking about this, he's actually the one that brought up the great horned owl theory for the Kentucky goblins because he's from Kentucky. So he's basically going around telling everybody who has any kind of sighting that is similar to this, they're just seeing owls everywhere. So me, being the psychopath I am.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Sis.
The skeptic was talking about, all they saw was a snowy owl. Snowy owls are native to Arctic zones, okay? And sometimes they can come down, they've been seen in Indiana, but they are in very, very cold environments. So I was looking up what the average temperature was and then exactly what the temperature was in April of 1977 when these Dover demon sightings were. So April 21st, I think the high was 82. Okay. And then April 22nd, the high was like 88, which is unseasonably warm for Massachusetts.
I know snowy owls coming down and changing their locations and temperature.
Not in unseasonably warm weather. So I thought it was kind of weird that this guy was going around at any sort of sighting that was similar to this. He was discounting as basically different types of owls.
Well, all right. So in a lot of alien abduction lore and alien experiencer lore, sometimes people will have these experiences and then they have dreams of owls. And if you look at an owl, the way the face goes, the eyes go and everything like that, you can see that it's not that big of a stretch to go, it looks kind of like an alien gray, and of course, people on one side will go, well, these people saw owls and it stuck with them mentally. And then they had a dream that night about a distorted owl. And then that's where this fake UFO abduction story comes from.
Yeah.
Other people go, well, maybe their minds were just trying to process what they were seeing. And the closest approximation was an owl. Or maybe it was a cover memory that whatever was abducting them put in there.
Why did this just get way more complicated?
So, my thing is this.
Planted memories.
Is whether any of that's true or not, I don't know. But I will tell you this: the Kentucky Goblin story, the family opened fire on them quite a bit. Okay, I don't know. I didn't know that owls traveled in like large packs, flocks of owls. Okay, owls are usually pretty solitary creatures. every time we've seen an owl, it's a singular owl right there. There might be another owl you hear it talking to, communicating with, a few dozen yards away, but they're not just side by side on this branch. You just don't look out and see 10 owls there.
I'm gonna make up a name for a group of owls. It's a wattage.
A wattage of owls?
Yeah.
Why a wattage?
Sounds real, doesn't it?
It does sound real. But if they open fire on them, if say there's 10 owls there and there's just 10 owls there for whatever reason, they open fire, the owls are going to fly away. They're birds. They're going to get startled. They're going to go. They're not going to just fly and then just keep coming back like this family reported all night long. So to me, it just seems like that owl excuse or that owl explanation doesn't really hold a lot of water. I have talked about this. I mentioned this briefly. Like I was coming home one night in the fog. Remember that when I was coming down? And I told you about, I saw the owl come out. I'm driving through this like pea soup fog on this 2-lane, like kind of windy road. And the fog is like thick as can be. And I kind of just glance to my right and I see something coming out of the fog. And it's this giant owl carrying a dead rabbit. And it's trying to get altitude. And it can't quite, it almost runs into my car. The feet of the rabbit might even have brushed the top of the car. I don't know. But it just comes right at me and it's gone. And I'm just like, that's got to be a sign of something. You know what I'm saying? But here's the deal. I didn't mistake that owl for anything other than what it was, an owl. So it was in fog. It was like a very quick sighting. It startled the heck out of me. And I didn't go, I think I saw an alien gray carrying a dead rabbit, jumped out of the fog at my car.
I saw it. It was there.
But it's looked like an owl.
LW Marshall says debunkers come up with more outlandish explanations than what witnesses claim to see.
Yeah.
You start to see that meme of that woman where she's looking into the, just off and you just see the math happening. It's like, at what point do you have to do the mental gymnastics to where it's more out of the possibility that what you're saying than actually some sort of supernatural explanation, which is a stretch within itself.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know, man. But I mean, there's so in addition to the witness reports, so you've got the Dover demon that people saw. You have the Kentucky goblins. Now they had larger ears, which aren't really described in like pale crawler things. And I think it's a pretty good distinction. Well, it's a pretty good thing to bring up, is that pale crawler sightings and pale creature sightings have been going on for a long, long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
The name the Rake was an invention, 2009. Yeah. Here's the deal. It's in public awareness right now. And this kind of ties in with what we talk about, dogmen and werewolves, okay? Do we think that what people are seeing, these upright canids, are actually like people transforming? I don't know. I don't think so, but what do I know?
No, but verbiage is the closest thing that they have.
To it. So now people see this thing or see something like this and they get online and look with that description. Dover Demon ain't coming up.
Yeah.
The Rake is going to come up. You know what I'm saying?
And then people will say, oh, you don't believe in the Rake now.
But the thing is that I don't mind people. I know there's kind of a difference between the pale crawler phenomenon and then the creepypasta Rake. The terms are almost interchangeable at this point, or might as well be interchangeable at this point. So thank you, Bob. We appreciate that, sir.
A group of owls is called a parliament. That's what they're called.
Yeah, it is a parliament of owls, but now it's a wattage.
Now it's a wattage.
You can petition them. Some crazy chick with a YouTube channel wants to change the. Moondog had something good too. This is what I was going to with it, is that there is some photographic proof. The moose with the rake, stalking the rake was, and let me see if I can pull that up here.
I knew I'd cause some controversy putting that fake rake, the fake rake photo on the thumbnail. They're going to talk about the rake.
Screen. Yep. Let me share this and see if this will come up.
You want me to do it?
Add the stage. Oh, that's teeny tiny, man. You can't see that. That's terrible. I'm going to remove that. Let me see if I can find a better one.
You got to find a big one, Joe. You got to find a big one.
Open image, new tab. That's just as bad. What the heck, man? Lord.
Here, you look. I'll look for this. You do this.
Hold on. All right, I got it. You find it. There was somebody, and I can't remember the backstory on that. But somebody got a photo of a. What are you shaking your head about? Speak. Oh, okay, gotcha. Flipping his hair. there was a video that came out, and that was like back in 2000. It's right here. It's 2018. August of 2018. They were in French. They were in Quebec, Canada.
Quebec?
Quebec, Canada.
Quebec?
He was filming a moose on a roadside, and then he noticed something in the tree line. And back then, they were all just going, "That looks like Gollum. Oh my Lord, you caught Gollum. Gollum, that thing looks like Gollum." And then later on, people were going, "That looks like the Rake." And then everybody was like, "Oh, well, the Rake's made up." And I'm going, "Well, his footage may not have been made up. His footage looked pretty damn real."
There you go. You can take a look at it.
Bam, there you go. And it moves though. It's a video. Somebody earlier had said, "Well, why do you don't have video?" This person had video. This thing was moving and crawling through the tree line towards this moose. And the dude taking the video, if I remember correctly, just got the heck out of there. So there is some photographic evidence. There is a old YouTube channel that I had to like track down.
I'm trying to go through this crazy chat.
Called Seancom. Seancom, but with a CH. CHONECOM. Seancom. And it was a young guy who was putting videos up. He thought there were aliens around his property, is what he thought they were. And he was catching these pale, hairless creatures with like either the eyes were self-illuminated or they were reflecting back the IR because he was using a night vision camera. And he would even film and go, "I'm going to go out here. I'm not going to flip out this time. I'm not going to scream this time. If I see it, I'm going to try to get good footage of it." And he would see it and he would flip out and he would run every time.
Yeah.
One of them, he got on his roof. It peeks over his roof at him.
So he had actual videos of this.
And this was back from 2011.
Okay.
And it was on a small YouTube channel that it got a little bit of a buzz, but that's over a decade ago. Stuff like this was popular back then, but it wasn't quite as popular. But
and the mechanism for creating fakes of this kind of stuff was not as easy as it is today.
So thank you, Paul. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Paul.
And for the next big equipment thing is going to be trying to modify the Starlink to try to get it out for you folks. One of our friends made a very generous donation, got us a good chunk of the way there for it, but we're going to try to get that set up sooner rather than later.
Yeah, so that we can actually do these field investigations live for our members, and that's one of my favorite things to do. So we can get this together, and then that'll be kind of a new step up in what we're doing.
That'll be a new era.
That'll be a new era.
LW had mentioned, Mike Clellan would say that the owl is a screen memory. I'm kind of just jumping at the chat, but
the chat's flying. I'm trying to keep up with some. Well, but
here's where I'm at with it. Near us, there's the Cherokee Moon-eyed people. And if you look at a lot of these things,
it's so funny that you say that.
Pale crawlers, Dover demons.
Moondog Davis said they do remind me of statues of moon-eyed people. So they have that statue in Murphy, North Carolina that was discovered. And we've talked about the moon-eyed people before. This was supposed to be a pale, hairless race of people who had light pale blue eyes, and they really couldn't see during the day. They were underground dwellers. I think we discussed this when we were talking about subterranean predators. But the description of these things is very, very much akin to the moon-eyed people, right?
Very much so. I mean, a lot of these things share very distinct characteristics, and there can be small variations in stuff. Such as the Dover Demon's head was a bit outsized. The Kentucky Goblins obviously had the ears, they were smaller. Some of these creatures are described as being longer, taller, whatever you want to call them. One of the things that did kind of strike out to me is that the Rake and that creepypasta had very long clawed fingers, and that's what it used to kill people. And that's why it was called the Rake, because it would gouge them. And the Dover Demon was often described as having long, slender fingers in some of the reports that people had it. It's weird. It's weird that this keeps popping up like this. You know what I'm saying? And let's just be honest. If something was subterranean, hairless, pale, weird eyes. You know what I'm saying? Those don't sound necessarily like very strange adaptations to something that would mostly be subterranean that would maybe come out every once in a while. Or maybe, just maybe, it's not a creature that like has a breeding population underground. Maybe it's something that just kind of crosses over from somewhere else every once in a while. Interdimensional, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And maybe when the rake started getting kind of big, maybe all that increased attention. We were talking earlier when one person kind of puts mental energy out and manifests something, it's a tulpa.
Mm-hmm.
When a lot of people do it, it's egregore. It's a different terminology. You get a whole group of people that kind of either summon something that maybe exists in the collective unconscious, or they literally give form to something that wasn't there before.
And like egregores are sustained by belief, and
Yes.
ritual, and sacrifice.
Yes. So
somebody mentioned before they were asking about they're like, you guys don't believe in Slender Man, do you? So the description of the Slender Man thing, this is also a creepypasta. But a lot of people put a lot of stock behind this. A lot of teenagers put a lot of stock behind this, even killing their friends as a sacrifice to the Slender Man.
So,
But it's described as the same kind of thing, something very. Some of these are described as very small. Some are described as very tall, like that.
yeah.
Pale skin, hairless, large eyes. But it's described the exact same way. But if you've got this as a tulpa or an egregore, and then you have people actually committing human sacrifice to it, could that make it come into reality at that point?
Possibly. I mean, again, you go to this point though that, and let's just take it at face value for a second. Let's say that these ladies did capture a strange entity on camera, and the thing stalking that moose was something real. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And the Seancom website. Oh, I was talking about that channel. That channel had a series of very short videos where this guy was trying to film this thing around his property, and he was talking about how it was an alien. He kept going on, it was an alien. Well, it looks exactly like a pale crawler, or rake, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks closer to that than an alien gray. But at the same time, if you looked at a lot of alien gray depictions that you've seen online, and the words alien gray weren't there, and they told you, oh, I've got a pale crawler coming around my property, you'd go, pale crawler. They look pretty damn similar, But what's crazy is that that YouTube channel disappeared. It just disappeared. One day it was there, the next day it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then another channel came up going, oh yeah, hey, we're the guys that were doing that. That was all for a movie that'll be out soon. Stay tuned. But all that was fake. That was for a movie. Yeah, and then the movie never came about, And if that was special effects, 2011, special effects were pretty good, man. They were pretty good. So that might be potentially, and I don't want to play that. I found somebody had it up, but
it kind of adds to the whole.
I don't know, man. It's weird. And like I said, but this is really good because I love these. These are not cryptid people coming forward with this stuff. We're all primed for that stuff.
And also, if you wanted to come forward with something and like kind of start getting into this cryptid thing, so there's more things that are more accessible, that are not so outlandish, like Bigfoot. Bigfoot is accessible. It's believable. It's like when we first started looking into Dogman, we did not believe Dogman existed. It sounded completely outlandish that this would actually exist. I could believe that something like Sasquatch could be out there, absolutely. But Dogman and upright canid, no way. But then the more we started to look into this subject and these witnesses and these stories and these experiences, the more we looked into that, it made it more real for me. And then we eventually went to the LBL, we got thermal images, and then we had the experiences we had, caught the evidence we had. And we have no smoking gun. We have nothing that's like solid. But through our work and doing that, we've really discovered a lot. I feel like we've added some pieces to this puzzle. And maybe down the line, I mean, I don't think we're going to go specifically hunting pale crawlers.
That would be something you would have to like have a legit very credible recent sighting or
Yeah.
a series of sightings.
But I
And
think
then-
this is definitely an interesting mental exercise. It's definitely an interesting thing to look at and consider that there are things that we looked at, 5 years ago and laughed at and made fun of. And now we absolutely believe that they're real. So it's hard to say what is a possibility and what is not anymore.
Suji brought up one too that I had forgotten about. I remember this when this came out. There's a video guy shot through his screen door of a crawler crawling towards his house. The thing that gets me about this stuff is a lot of supposed Sasquatch photos where people just take photos of like a tree line
Mm-hmm.
and then they're picking out what looks like Sasquatch.
Right.
It could be something. It could just be the leaves and the branches and just the actual. It could just be pareidolia. It could just be you're seeing something that ain't there.
Yeah.
Or it could be that something is camouflaged and you're just seeing the bare outlines of it. There is something there, but it's trying to trick you and make you think that nothing's there. The rake and these crawler things, there ain't no camouflaging going on, man.
Right.
So any of the things you see, it's either one of two things. It's either real or it's somebody has faked it. It's not you're not mistaking it for something else in these photos. Some of them that I've seen also are, like anything, laughably fake. Others I look at and go, damn, man, if somebody just faked this for a whim,
Yeah.
do they have a background in professional special effects? Because this looks really good.
Yeah.
So let's see what else we got here.
I got some stuff I'm working on.
I'm looking at it right now. Genocide. Could the rake white crawler be a feral person, maybe deformed? Well, you know what? Normally
we were talking about this earlier. We're kind of having this pale crawler discussion earlier, and Denim Devil, I think, brought that up. He goes, "Do you think this could be them stealing what was it, albino children and selectively breeding them underground?" I was like, okay.
Well, if you guys remember, two things like The Descent. Remember The Descent?
No, I didn't finish it because it
You
freaks
got
me
too
the hell
freaked
out.
So,
No.
well, the creatures in there, they're more like they're more nuanced. There's more like detail to them than just these pale things that are very featureless, but same general description. The other thing too I thought about was, and I don't want to put this up definitely, but the people. Remember the movie The People Under the Stairs? Did you ever see that?
Yeah.
How pale and scrawny and just weird and like exaggerated features and everything like that they were. So I don't want to put that up because I don't want a copyright strike on us.
Oh, that's true.
EDP says, I feel like I remember those videos you're talking about, Joe. I have no idea how to find them now. You can find them kind of reposted. They're pretty low quality like copies, but
This goes back to the Thunderbird photo.
well, I went back. I was going down a rabbit hole trying to find this. And for a movie company that was doing this as some sort of like early viral marketing thing, they sure dropped the ball when people were trying to get details. They wouldn't really. So they wanted it to go viral, but then they didn't want to talk to anybody about it after it got a little bit of attention. And then it just kind of like petered away at that point. So. Stitch Widget says, yeah, they've got some bad news. Dew's going in for an MRI Monday.
So everybody keep the Dooster.
Keep the Dooster in your prayers.
thoughts,
Keep
for
the
sure.
Dooster in your
Hopefully
thoughts
everything
and prayers.
comes out okay.
We got out of the mountains and I saw his text. I don't know if he's had a chance to see that yet. So, Henry had said, has anybody heard of any of these rakes are able to die?
I don't think we're even to the point where we can have that discussion because we have no idea where we're at with this yet. We don't even know.
Well, the Cherokee were able to defeat the Moon-Eyed people.
Yeah.
They went to war with them and were able to defeat them, but details are kind of light.
Or did they force them deeper underground until they emerge years later as
the Kentucky Goblins were resistant to gunfire.
Yeah.
And the rake itself, when people talk about the rake, it always has kind of supernatural qualities to it, But again, I think these are a bunch of different terms for things that if they're not the exact same thing, maybe they're related.
Yeah. And of course you have that default reaction of they're demons.
Yeah, exactly. Moondog says that Skinwalker Ranch has had reports of these too. And I wish I had to find time for TV. I did not know that. I know that I don't remember anything in the books about that, but whether something is going on now, I don't know. So let's see what else we got here. Killing them.
Martin Gross has an interesting one here talking about going back to this feral people discussion. I interviewed a Smoky Mountains ranger who stated he saw a white/albino kid wearing a set of horns on his head in the Cades Cove area.
Now that's interesting because you don't really hear about antlers or horns being associated with these creatures.
No.
But again, there is room for like just small variations in their appearance on it. Height, physical characteristics like that, all sorts of stuff. Dark Star 9513 said, I know that there was 2 military encounters with pale crawlers near Fort McCoy at a Marine base in California. So I'm gonna say this right now is that a few years ago, if you'd asked me about these things, I just would have gone, people are seeing something, but I don't know what it is. That was before we got slapped with the reality of the possibility of Dogman being real, when we had to step back and go, all right, there's something to this phenomenon.
Yeah.
We laughed at it at first. We dismissed it at first. There's something there. I don't know what they are, but there's a there. Same thing with these now. I'm not willing to dismiss these. I'm not willing to just go that this is a CGI picture. And I'm sure that there's some fakes mixed in there, but I ain't throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
I mean, look how many fake Dogman photos there are just circulating.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Around,
and we don't invalidate.
You don't invalidate everything that you hear, everything that you see based on, fake photos that are AI photos or recreation photos. People will take Small Town Monsters stills and then change the coloring a little bit and then put it up on Dogman Reddit and everybody loses their mind, or puts it on Facebook.
Bob in Michigan said the same thing about the Harkonnens and Dune. Like you made a joke
yes,
earlier. So.
I did. We've been talking about Dune. We've been talking about Dune all weekend.
Dune, but it's so the Moon-eyed people. That's generations ago.
I feel like we're all over the place today with this. You can tell that you and I have just been kind of just like
all over the place, like recently, just kind of going.
Well, this whole thing, this whole thing is discombobulating. It's confusing. It's weird. It goes back to that trickster element of this. I think there's so much of the trickster element with these things, with anything. With the Bigfoot phenomenon, with the Dogman phenomenon, with this kind of phenomenon, whatever it may be.
In memoriam of the bald, big, blue-eyed girl I used to date. So thank you for that, Travis, and then Sammy. Thank you for that as well. We appreciate it. But it is. I don't know. I'm intrigued by this because of the way that it's presented to us. Two people that are not involved with the subject matter in any way, shape, or form.
And we've never really looked at this subject very closely.
Well, I'm talking about the 2 ladies who came forward with the photo.
Oh, okay.
That was the genesis.
I was like, we've never.
Well, neither of us really. I mean, other than
we've never looked at pale crawler stuff before. Really.
Well, because we've never really gotten any credible witness sightings near us that we could go and investigate. But the 2 ladies who had this photo that they came forward with, they're not cryptid people. It doesn't look like. They look like they're just some normal people that were looking at vacation photos and then went, holy crap, what's this? Because I find the Beast of 7 Shoots that's an extremely credible and provocative photo. That really makes me think something's running around up there in that area. This photo makes me think something climbing. Now the 20-foot thing, now that I know that was just an offhand comment with the dad that the press kind of ran with.
Yeah.
Because I was going, how are they able to figure that out? That height out. But the fact that it is just, I don't know, man. I find this extremely interesting. And what I think it's going to be more interesting too is this has made national news right now. So usually when something enters the mainstream, you start hearing more of it.
Do you think you're going to start seeing an uptick of people coming out with their experiences of seeing this kind of stuff?
And you can go, it's just copycat sightings. And some of those might be. Some of them might be people who are now emboldened to go, well, somebody else is talking about it, so I'm going to share what happened to me and what I saw. maybe there's UFO flaps where periods of UFO activity gets heavier and then they decrease and then they get heavier, then they decrease. Maybe there's going to be a flap of sightings with stuff like this.
That would be kind of interesting.
So,
especially with all of this, all of this discussion about UAP disclosure and all of this going on, how close these look to alien grays, that these lines are going to get crossed in some kind of way, don't you think?
Yeah. Well, and to be honest with you, I swear I think that you're out with all of this. But I will say this, is that I will say that I don't think that any at all, maybe a few of these like entities that people encounter, I don't think they're normal. I don't think they're running around the bushes having babies and just doing everything like that. And they're here all the time. If they are here all the time, we can't see them all the time for whatever reason.
One could be a bush.
Yes. So, but I do think that something like this has the best possibility of being like a living, breeding population that's just here. That's what I have to keep telling myself. That is, if there was something strange out there that was here all the time, it was a normal terrestrial creature that lived and breathed, but it just stayed hidden, it'd be something like this.
Right.
Something that's not very particularly massive. Something that looks like it's adapted for
being underground,
where you're not going to find it. So in a way, if you look at it, because that's one of my problems I have with Sasquatch sometimes, is that if it's a breeding population of them, the mark that they would leave on the environment would be massive, especially considering the people are seeing them in pretty much every state except for Hawaii at this point. Yeah, they could probably keep somewhat hidden in the Pacific Northwest and Canada, but people are seeing them in the South.
But their physical descriptions don't lean towards being something that
would
is
stay hidden
underground.
Like that. Yeah, but these look like they would stay underground.
I want to thank Deborah Stewart for that.
Thank you, Deborah Stewart.
So great show. Thank you.
But I guess the reason why we're doing this is more, A, I think it's interesting as all get out.
Yeah.
B, I think people should keep their eyes open.
And because there's so many parallels to so many other things that people actually are like, oh, there's validity to that. But then you start talking about pale crawlers, the rake, anything like that, or anything that's close to that, it's poo-pooed,
Well,
but there's so many things that it crosses over with that people are like, there is a possibility.
Well, so let's just say the rake, let's just kick rake out of the discussion.
Yeah.
Rake out of the discussion. Pale crawlers, whatever you want to call them, pale entities, pale humanoids, whatever. There's a lot of them at this point, man. Just the ones we've talked about tonight: Cherokee Moonite people, Dover Demon, Hopkinsville Goblins. You could put a lot of alien gray and a lot of alien gray encounters like tied in with that. There's even, and I was on my tip of my tongue when I was talking about it, but
sorry. I'm trying to get that silence. You can tell we've been all over today.
There was something in the UK.
We've got the pale gray matter today is what we've got.
Yeah, but they had a creature that, I'll find it here in a second, because it was on the tip of my tongue and then I lost it. But there is a creature that is, I ain't gonna find it. I will tell you this though, that the Wendigo legends, okay. Now, and people always get so bent out of shape on the Wendigo stuff because it was Algernon Blackwood, the first illustration of Algernon Blackwood's story, the Wendigo, had horns, okay. And then people kind of ran with it. There are a few stories from the Native American tribes that a couple of them did mention animalistic features, which could include like horns or antlers. Okay. But a lot of them are very pale, emaciated, stretched out, just humanoids.
Yeah.
Hairless in a lot of cases, very gaunt. That ties in with the description. There's a lot of meat to the well, not a lot of meat to the bone with these creatures, but there's a lot of meat to the bone of these stories that a lot of different people are seeing things that are real damn close to each other, and they're seeing them over the period of hundreds of years, if not longer at this point. So.
What's bizarre about this is this came up, like this subject came up. We were talking about this subject. We've been we've been kind of dancing around this in our private conversation
Mhm.
for a bit. These photos came up, and then Jeremiah. I haven't heard this episode yet. I didn't. Jeremiah from Bigfoot Society. He actually had someone talking about an encounter with something like this. Just apparently, everybody was telling us about this on the chat, but just in the past, I guess, couple of days.
Well, Surviving the Strange says there's 2 videos from Poland of the crawler-looking thing that screams legit. I haven't even seen those. You know what I'm saying? But it just seems like there's a lot, maybe a lot more footage of these things out there that a lot of people are just kind of like dismissing because they're just assuming, well, it must be fake because there was a thing called the Rake that started on, on some creepypasta sites, and there you go. I have not seen those though. I need to look up and see if I can try to find those. Everybody's going on about the Descent.
It's massive. We had seen the movie Ritual. We have.
Which one's Ritual? Oh wait, is that the one with they were hiking?
Yeah.
The hikers? Okay. What is the other movie? Devil Down Below?
You just watched that randomly, and that pertains to this as well.
I didn't even think about that. The creatures in that are they're more.
So what do you think leads to this kind of stuff? Do you think the stuff is because we had a bunch of other things that are unrelated that were coincidences? Do you think that, and you go into these synchronicities, these coincidences, and I know this is aside from the whole pill crawlers conversation, but I think it comes up in a way because all of these things kind of click, 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 and you had no knowledge of any of all this stuff, all of these moving parts.
And there's so many parts to keep track of.
And there's so many parts to keep track of, but then it all happens all at once. Jeremiah's show, this incident, a couple other things that pertain to this that are completely independent. They all kind of click into place at once.
What do we always say? Pay attention to where the universe is leading you.
Yeah.
When the universe is trying to send you in a direction, don't fight it.
Just
we do it nowadays. Like if we'll sometimes have a couple of investigations planned out and something will happen, and I'll be like, it's like the universe is trying to send us in a different direction right now.
Yeah.
Let's pay attention to it. Well, that's my thing right now, is that I want to see if anybody, let's just see what happens with this. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what happens with this. This has gotten national attention so far. Sure, it's a lot of people are kind of, this is kind of like almost like National Enquirer type stuff. A lot of people are just going,
well, Bat Boy looks like this too. You gotta think about that.
Oh, Jesus. Oh my God. So, okay. Damn. All right. All right. Let's see what else we got here real quick. So.
You want to bring up the Enquirer, yeah. The Bat Boy. The Bat Boy situation.
The Bat Boy.
So I have a question. Dewey is writing a book that should be out later this year, I believe, about the the Kelly Hopkinsville goblin incident. And he could probably answer this better than I can because I don't remember offhand. I've read the account several times. I've heard the account several times. What sort of coloring was described by the family that these things have? I know that traditionally when we think goblin, we've got that goblin idea and in our minds of, oh, it's like a green goblin kind of thing. Were these things described as being like a pale, like a white? Oh yeah,
they were white. They were pale creatures. The goblins from Hellier were a very good representation of what they were traditionally talked about, and that's why they were the owl-like features, the eyes, and they said all those were tufts of feathers, those weren't ears. But I just go back to the gunfire. The police, and Dewey, again, if he's still in here, could answer this better than we could. But if memory serves, the police, when they showed up both times, saw evidence of like World War III breaking out, a lot of spent shells and everything like that. And yet the family was still said they just keep coming back. They keep coming back. That's not animal behavior. That's not bird behavior at this point. So I don't know. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see now that this has entered like the national discussion, and it's entered a lot of people's, when I say imagination, not the
collective unconscious.
The collective unconscious. Yeah. It's in a lot of people are thinking about it, and there's mental energy being expended on this topic. Are we going to see an increase of this.
Moondog said glowing in silver suits that were bulletproof.
Yeah,
Wow.
they supposedly did have very tight fitting suits, but they were very, very.
Yeah.
Again, if Dewey's in, he's writing the book on it. He's literally writing a book on it, so he'll be able to tell us. So, Stitch Witch says she doesn't want to see any of these. Well, Dewey's writing a book now, so if they are there,
He's calling them in.
You're going to be calling them in. So get ready, But
I have a bunch of stuff on there. If you
and you know what? They may not be. They may not be. The alien grays are obviously considered alien, whether they're coming from another planet on a rocket ship, going through the atmosphere, like I always talk about, or if they're coming from another dimension. Maybe none of these things are from here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're all from here, and you're seeing variations of a species, specialized different variants of a species that it's indigenous to
Are you
Earth.
talking about how some dogs look like German Shepherds and some look like Chihuahuas?
Yeah, or maybe you're seeing it could be something that's not quite, insect specialized.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're dealing with something that just isn't quite like anything else out there at this point. So. All right, let's see what else we got here on the chat.
Southforce has a good point about the Kentucky goblin situation. Since they fired so many shots, they would have found feathers and blood with so much spent shell cases.
Yeah, now that's what I'm going to. Is that you don't and if these owls,
owls aren't invincible to gunfire.
And if there were this many owls that were behaving that oddly there, it seems like when the cops showed up, they would be in the reports, Well, no, I didn't see any like goblins, but there was a ton of owls around.
We've got a psychopathic parliament
we
of owls.
We got an owl problem, guys. Albert Hitchcock's The Birds really messed with me as a kid. It stressed me out. Did you ever see The Birds?
Of course I saw The Birds.
Okay.
I was more of a rear window kind of gal, but I like The Birds. The Birds was good. Arachnophobia was my animal fear movie.
Gotcha. So, Buttworm has joined the chat.
Buttworm has joined the chat. Well, thank God.
Crawl.
Speaking of pale crawlers, we've got a buttworm here.
We got a buttworm here. So, Goshawk is saying that Wes Germer had an encounter from Redstone, New Hampshire, of a red-colored one. I'm not seeing the original comment on that, but I'm assuming he's talking about like a red crawler.
Okay.
Maybe I can hit that comment 5 or 6 more times. But it's just, I don't know. The Fresno Walkers. Remember the Fresno Walkers?
That's the pajama pant things, right?
But it's also...
And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to give you a descriptor there.
Yeah,
that's when everybody kind of refers to them as.
Lance Landmark says the exact same thing. Like I said, I think that a population of species lived underground. They would certainly evolve into what these things look like. And again, I go back to this. I'm guilty of it as anybody else. Looking at it and go, it's creepypasta. People are just making stuff up. But then you look at the historical pattern that you're seeing here. And we just started going down this rabbit hole. There might be some patterns here that we're not seeing right now, as far as like time and, between actual like experiences that people are having. There might be some patterns here. I think people have just...
They write it off so quickly.
They write it off so quickly, and they look at all of these things as individual phenomena. And I think that if you start to go, all right, well, let's do this, just like we do with dogman sightings. Mm-hmm. Some people see what look like werewolves. Other people look like regular timber wolves on 2 legs. Some people have what seem to be flesh and blood experiences. It was eating roadkill. Other people have things that can be nothing other than supernatural. Well, we lump them all together and we look for patterns in that. Okay. Aaron's Texas Dogman Triangle that he's had. Okay. Maybe there's some patterns here.
Just because the pattern isn't already established doesn't mean the pattern doesn't exist.
So I don't know, man. I just don't.
Ristol had an interesting one here about those Fresno night crawlers. We've got an update on the Fresno night crawlers. They were also caught on state park surveillance cams. Interesting. I always get apprehensive when you start going into these offshoot cryptids. Like some offshoot cryptids are like the whole Pokemon of cryptids thing.
Well, it's because that's human nature that you have a hard enough time accepting that there's one weird thing out there. Mm-hmm. But to me, once you accept there's one weird thing out there, then where are you going to draw the limit at? You know what I'm saying? You're drawing you've already established that your understanding of reality is not as firm as what maybe you previously thought it was.
That's when
now you're going to draw an arbitrary line Again, it's that boggle
I
threshold.
was about to say that's when you establish your. We need like a light up sign. This is boggle threshold.
We need a
behind us.
bingo board behind us, so where we just. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I look at it and I go, if you put aside the fact that there was a 4chan and Reddit creepypasta of something that looked like this, and you just looked at the other stuff, you would go, well, damn, the Cherokee apparently saw them. You know, they saw them in Dover, they saw them in Kentucky. Alien grays have been seen all over the world.
Yeah.
You know, variants of them. So I don't know. I think, and then I look at it and I go, man, it's almost as if that Rake thing was kind of put out to provide some cover for all of this. And then you see things like this, like where footage that was previously on there, you can't find any longer. So, I don't know.
It's like a cover up Mandela effect thing.
Yeah. Richard Sharp, we've got a few things on here we'll go through. Have you guys ever tossed a recording device to a portal to see where the world? No, because we've only seen one thing that could maybe be considered a portal, and we weren't close enough to toss anything through there. And we would not be that close to it. I was not going to get into there. And then Richard Sharp also had a follow-up. Speaking of small town monsters, how come you two haven't joined their crew? They mention you sometimes. We do stuff with small town monsters occasionally. You'll see some things coming out this year that we're involved with. We'll probably do some other stuff down the road. But we're too individual. We're independent. We're independent. We're too independent.
And nobody can stand to work with us for a long period of time, but each other. So no, we love working with them. We like being on projects with them and collaborating with them. But we
got our hands full with our stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Going through here on other stuff. So I don't know, man. I guess the whole purpose of the show is to
sort of start an organizational
like a BFRO?
No, not an organization. I'm saying like organize the information, not organize people to seek the creature.
I think that's what we need to do. That's our calling.
Hey, you know what we could be?
What could we do?
The crawler haulers. Not haulers, but like we're hauling them out of there.
So not hauler like what we got going on.
No, crawler haulers.
Crawler haulers.
Yeah. Okay. It's a working title.
That was
the first one.
We'll get back to y'all on that.
This is a failure. But hey, they can't all be winners. So.
Oh Lord. All right. Let's see what else we got here.
This is just kind of a way for us to kind of change the way we view things and kind of look at stuff that maybe you'll hear something crazy. You'll hear something crazy and you're like, wow, that's stupid. That can't be true. That's just somebody making up some BS for their stupid YouTube channels. They have content 9 times a day. But hey, that could be craziness, But that doesn't mean that the whole phenomenon in itself is crazy or BS, because there's precedence for some of these things that you might not think would apply to this.
Well, even with the gray phenomenon, you've got the traditional shorter alien grays, and then you have the tall whites,
Yeah.
There's a lot of very similar descriptions of strange entities and it seems like it occurs too often for us to, again, just throw it all out.
Mm-hmm.
Just because there was that one creepypasta. All right, let's see what else we got here. And then we're going to probably wrap it up here before too long. We're not going on too terribly long tonight, guys. So
we were at a possibly haunted location last night.
So we were at a possibly haunted location. We were at we're not going to name it because
it is a lodge that has been around for it was built about 70 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was built about 70 years ago. It's a lodge. It was not a lot of information. There seems to be like a blackout of information for quite a few years there about it, but it's really dark and atmospheric and creepy.
Mm-hmm.
But we stayed in it and we were like, gosh, we feel kind of comfortable here. It's very creepy. We feel comfortable here, but let's try something. Let's try an experiment. You know how we are. Let's try an experiment. So we set up a Phasm cam, which is our full spectrum night vision camera that we have. We set that up with an additional infrared light at the fireplace that has been there since the place was built. There's actually photos there of one of the original owners sitting by the fireplace in the early 50s, I believe it is.
And we didn't go there for any sort of like cryptid or
No,
whatever like that.
no.
We were there for like personal reasons. We
Yeah.
were staying there.
Oh,
And-
look, in my purse here, I have all of them.
But
But
we carry like a bag with us of stuff just in case. We
because
have
you never
like
know where you're going to encounter weird stuff.
So we had a Phasm cam, which is a full spectrum camera, ultraviolet, visible light, and infrared. We had a couple of lights. We had a couple of digital audio recorders, GoPro, a few other things like that. When we were in this thing, we were going, gosh, it's got a crazy history to it. And we looked up a little bit and we saw, some crazy stuff had happened there. And we set the camera up and the digital audio recorder up overnight. And we just now got a chance to glance at the footage.
Because we literally just got home before we started the show, but we had a chance to download the footage from the camera. And we downloaded the footage from the audio recorder. So I'm on the audio review, Joe's on camera review, and I hear, so there's rocking chairs in there. And we are at the opposite end of the house upstairs, and it's the middle of the night. And so I'm doing audio review. Do you want to talk about the video first?
So yeah, so we've got a camera going, and that's got its own built-in like microphone, but it's an action cam. It's small. You've guys seen what we use. It captures audio, but it's not that sensitive. And as a result, we've missed stuff in the past. And nothing's more frustrating for you guys to see us going, did you hear that? And then you're going, I can't hear anything. What's up with these people? Why can I never hear it? So we have invested a lot of time into kind of getting the ins and outs of audio recording, field recording down. So we're running this full spectrum camera with a full spectrum light going. We turned off most
IR
of
light,
yeah, like IR and UV going. And it's recording. And then we set up a digital audio recorder next to it, and then we sync them. So we've got two different pieces running. Everything's hooked up, everything's fully charged, everything's good to go, And I'm looking at the video footage, and it's like 8.5 hours of video footage, 4K video. It's a lot of files. I'm in the process of transferring, and I'm sitting there going, it's gonna be 8.5 hours of video footage of like video review, probably for nothing, because we were just doing it on a whim. And I'm kind of just clicking through it, and then I realize that at 3 a.m., the light cuts out for some reason.
like at 3 a.m.
Just at 3 a.m., the light cuts off. And I'm going, the heck? Well, I didn't realize what time it was at first because I'm just kind of skimming through it. And I realized the light's off. So then I back up until I see the light. And then I slowly go forward and I go, it's happened at 3 a.m. The light goes off, but the camera keeps running. And then the digital audio recorder is going, and there's rocking chairs in this room. You hear what sounds like rocking chairs rocking at a certain point. You hear what almost sounds like somebody walking across the floor.
Rocking, but no, and then
the rocking
chair, and then you hear this. Like a weird clapping, which is like very weird because you hear like you hear that percussion and the sound of, all right, nobody laugh, the flesh on flesh of of like a clap, but you hear like it sounds like a walking. The rocking chairs move, and the lights out. So it's bizarre. So that's where we're at right now with evidence review on that.
Hey, thank you for that, Hawk.
Thank you, Hawk. That's awesome.
Everything's going towards the ability to stream live from these places. Because everything always seems to come back to consciousness and how people pay attention to stuff, and it strengthens it. But then you hit some like little imaginary line, some line that's out there, some arbitrary line, and it's too much, and the thing just retreats back.
Yeah.
I want to see what we can get because we've gotten some really cool stuff. We've been able to live stream in the past. It's going to open up the doors for it. So, but I don't know. So we were just talking the other day. We're going, man, we really like to do some just in the keeping that a lot of this stuff is is somehow intertwined or interconnected somehow. We don't really do a lot of like traditional ghost hunting stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're missing a piece of the puzzle. We just don't want to investigate most of like the well-known haunted locations are pay-to-play places where you go pay money, $2,000 to go investigate.
And we were watching one of these on YouTube the other day. Somebody was investigating, and they're standing in front of the whiteboard. No, it was just a giant piece of like poster board, and there was rules scrawled on it because people just come in every night and investigate these for their YouTube channel. And it was the first rule was do not do drugs in the house. Do not threaten the spirits in the house. And it's like, oh my God, this is like a halfway house for ghosts.
But we are thinking about trying to like expand out on that stuff a little bit. But do it in like a setting like we do it, like old forest cemetery, like old mountain cemeteries, you know, like abandoned settlements and everything like that. So it was kind of neat doing that because that's so traditional. That's traditional ghost hunting stuff, you know, where you hear like footsteps and you hear like a rocking chair going by itself is in every like haunted house movie like out there, for God's sakes.
So we're just never inside.
I know, it's great. It was cool, man. You know what I'm saying? We just set the cameras and went to bed, man.
Like the Beverly Hillbillies. We're like, oh my God.
Thank you again for that, Hawk, for the Vienna sausage.
Yes.
So, but we so yeah, we're going to be looking into that. We've got more video and audio to review. So you might, if all of a sudden you just get like a surprise video because we catch something more than that there, because we just scratched the surface on it and saw some really cool stuff.
We're ghost hunters now. There's air conditioning.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna investigate some haunted resorts. Brian, we do not have knives on us this evening, unfortunately, for the first time ever.
I do.
Do you have a knife on you? I don't have a knife on me.
You don't? What's wrong with you?
I took it out when I sat down in there. So
I actually still have mine that I've been carrying all weekend. I have a Emerson Horseman. That's our last Emerson.
That's our last Emerson that we.
Yep, it's an Emerson Horseman. That's my John Wick knife. So
yeah. So I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't know. I think that it's going to be the synchronicities that start to happen doing this stuff are indisputable. You can't ignore them. Okay. You can't ignore them. So our attention is grabbed by this pale crawler photo right now.
Just because the universe keeps like throwing weird, bald, hairless, humanoid things at us.
I think we need to get down and do a thing for like the Moon-eyed people. I think we need to go into that area over the next few like weeks or whatnot and do something for like a Moon-eyed people investigation.
I think so too.
But we've got to really kind of dial into, you can't go up to where they were traditionally associated with because that's a state park. You know, you can't be up there at night. So that might be something that we
there's other areas that they're associated with that I can pinpoint very easily. I definitely want to go check out that statue that's in Murphy, North Carolina. I don't know why. I would like to see that in person. I know that you can see photos of it online, but we're going to go up there and check out that statue that was found.
Keep going.
And possibly investigate some of these areas that are associated with that. Because that's, you know, we like to go in the direction of Appalachian history, Cherokee history. And I think that is our, the closest thing we have that is something that actually has legitimacy within the Appalachian area.
For the knife check, though.
Tail crawler. Oh, you do have a knife check.
No. I had it because I took it out of my pocket before we went out of town because I don't want to carry it. But our boy Moondog, who's been so active in the chat tonight, had sent a traditional Spanish navaja folding knife to me a few weeks ago, and Jessie appropriated it because it was small and she liked it. So he sent me something. I'm immensely grateful. She's not appropriating this one because it is definitely not small, but that click is the locking mechanism on it. But check out that bad boy. I was carrying that before we left. There's no clip to it.
That's insane.
It's insane. And I had taken it out of my pocket before we went, and I almost carried it. And I'm going, no, because I've pulled over for speed and everything like that. The cop's like, you got any weapons on you? And you go, just this giant traditional Spanish fighting knife, sir. But it was like right outside the door there. So thank you for this, Moondog. It's actually getting carried, believe it or not.
Awesome.
So it's awesome. Couple quick things here before we wrap it up for the evening.
I know that we were all over the place.
We're all over the place, but because we're excited about this, we were.
And then we dabbled in the ghosts a little bit.
Yeah, we dabbled in the ghosts a little bit. So I don't know. I when I saw this photo and I saw the attention it was getting of this thing on the cliff, I just went, this has the potential to be something monumental. This could be one of those trigger events where all of a sudden you start, and maybe even if just us talking about it tonight, you know what happens sometimes with this? Within a day or two, we get an email saying, hey guys, saw your show the other night when you were talking about this. I had an experience not that long ago, not
Yeah.
that far from you.
Yeah.
So we'll see. So it's out there. So
So the universe has put it at us, and now we're putting it out
Yeah.
at the universe.
so
See how that works out for you. See how it works out for you, kids. But yeah, if you've had a personal experience with one of these,
and you were in the southern Appalachian
and you're in the southern
region,
Appalachian region,
get in touch with us.
holler at us.
All right, guys, we're wrapping up here in a minute. I know we were all over the place tonight with it, but you know, we had a general topic we were going to kind of discuss tonight, and then this came out. We were like, we got to talk about this pale crawler stuff.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily something that we're really, other than the Moonite people,
Mm-hmm.
really conversant with. So you know, so
But I think that that's how we can start to approach this in a practical way, where we can go out and do a investigation
Yeah.
in our own special,
Yeah.
very special way.
Well, that's the other thing too is that it's
is
the
that we
whole-
can pursue the Moon-Eyed People legend and see if there's anything to it.
Well, I mean, the thing is that if we can we can see a pattern of activity, or we can get a recent credible report, we are uniquely set up to go in and investigate that area and try to get evidence on it. You know what I'm saying? Try to capture video, thermal, audio, something like that. So hopefully, maybe something will come of this.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. That's great.
all right, guys, we're wrapping it up tonight.
Yeah. We're gonna wrap this up. We're gonna eat a little something, and then we're gonna rest. Because we've been harassed by ghosts and pale crawlers and everything. Hopefully, we have no pale crawler dreams tonight. I hope none of you have that. But I want to thank you guys for joining us for the show tonight. It's always a joy and a pleasure and a treat to hang out with you guys and have these crazy off the wall, bounce around, ADHD fueled discussions about these things. But I think it's important that you open your mind to the possibilities of what is out there. Don't just accept that what you see before you is reality. There's a possibility that you've missed something along the way. So if you've dismissed something in the past, don't be afraid to go back and take another look. Maybe take another look from a different perspective. You might see something that you missed the first time.
Real quick before we get out, Hawk's got something. Anybody ever seen anything that resembles a gray hairless blob? That guy that we talked about, that Tennessee Fordian had interviewed, the guy that had that slug-like predator in the trees, I guess could be considered almost like that. But that's the only thing that really comes to mind right now. If anybody has any experience with that, drop us a line and we will forward it to our boy Hawk there. So
I don't want to see a hairy blob personally.
yeah. Good Lord. All right, guys, we're wrapping it up. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your week. And make sure you take care of yourselves and take care of each other. I'm going to send you guys out on some funky music. Let's find something cool here.
Got some more Vampire Nightclub music?
Here is something. I think this one sounds like it'd be cool. All right, let's give it a go. Bye, guys. Thank you very much. Have an awesome night. Take care of yourselves.